Good day, folks. This is Greg Judy at Green Pastures Farm. Today, Jan has a list of questions that she's gathered up from some of you all, our subscribers that have made comments. And she does that from time to time. She gets them all put together. And so that's what this is. What's the first question, honey?
Well, again, thank you all for your comments on the clips and things like that. And Greg does reply to many of those, but many of you don't go back and read those. So this is where these come from. We talked about the bird houses. We clean them out once a year. We use a 10% bleach thing. Do the houses have to be out in the open, or do they need to be by trees? How do we set these up?
Yeah, so your tree swallow houses need to be out in the middle of the field, preferably in a fence line. If you can put them in a fence line somewhere, and they need to be 100 feet apart. It's best if they're not next to a tree, because a tree holds predators, hawks, owls, and they can swoop down and actually capture the tree swallows. So they feel a lot more comfortable out in the middle of the field. And the house needs to be the hole needs to be facing southeast. And it's best if your bird house is at a minimum of 6 foot off the ground. But make sure you put them 100 feet apart and keep them away from buildings. If you put them up next to a building, you're going to have sparrows in there.
We've got some. Where do you find the instructions on how to do this? How to build the homes?
I've got a YouTube video. You type in Greg Judy tree swallow houses on searching for a YouTube, you'll find it.
Yeah.
We painstakingly went through all the dimensions. You can build it from that video.
Right.
Yeah.
And when do you recommend putting them out?
Any time of the year. Just get them out there. Even if you put them out in June, you'll have tree swallows in there.
But you need to check to make certain you have.
Make sure you're in their nesting habitat, their range. So if you get too far south, you're going to be out of the range. We're kind of right at the edge here in central Missouri. You go on up north into Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota, man, they're thick up there. Ohio,
yeah.
That's the true nesting range of tree swallows.
I remember we put out the first few around our driveway, and we went out somewhere for that evening.
Yep.
And we came back. We had not followed the instructions for the opening. We just put whatever we thought because we didn't have whatever it was, and poor thing was sitting on there saying
he was trying to get in.
He was trying to get in, but he was like, Myrtle, I think this would be a great place to live, but we can't fit in there. He was hanging on there. Remember that?
I remember.
Then we took him down, and we did the right thing for him. Poor bird. But now we have lots of them.
Yep.
Okay, next question. I have only 10 bulls and a handful of sheep.
10 bulls?
No, I'm sorry. I have only 10 cows and a handful of sheep. The most I have is about 250,000 pounds of stock density. I only left them on a couple of hours on a 35 by 35 paddock. Any smaller, I felt like they would get really mad at me. Can you efficiently do this on a much smaller scale than like mine? Or do you have to have a lot more land to achieve the real mob effect?
No, I mean, it's all size dependent. I mean, we have people that have done, rotational high density grazing with one cow. They tied her, put a halter on and put a rope on her, staked her out and moved her. She did a good job. It's up to you to manage how long they're there. So if you make a paddock, like we'll take 300 cows and we'll put them in a quarter of an acre or less, maybe an eighth of an acre, but they're only there for 20 minutes.
Right.
So you got to watch that. Don't leave them in there longer than 20 minutes. When you get them real tight, that's called an exclusion zone. What you're trying to do is get a lot of manure, a lot of urine, a lot of trampling, then move them. Give them their normal size paddock for the rest of the day, but we call that making them work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this must have been, will they spread seeds on the rest of the farm through the manure?
Rucker, get over here.
Rucker?
Will they spread what?
Will they spread seed through the manure?
Yes.
Cattle.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you can see it when they're eating clover in the fall. You'll go out in the fall and you'll see a manure pile and just all kinds of clover seed coming up in there. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Would you run chickens behind the cows? If not, why the reason?
No, I think it would be fine. Especially if you had a smaller operation where we're trying to get across, 2,000 acres, and you've got a flock of chickens. It's hard for the chickens to keep up with the movement of your cows. So, if you're going to have something like that, it's just tougher. But a small farm, if you had a batch of chickens, you can keep them fairly close. I don't like, if you're going to do it, make sure the chickens are at least 3 days behind the cows, because it takes 3 days for the maggots. There's little white maggots that hatch out, the flies, this fly larvae. You want those chickens to open that up and eat the fly larvae. If you have them only a day behind, they're not going to get the larvae. It takes 3 days for that stuff to turn into a maggot.
Yeah. So I see the cows eating the Sericea. Are they getting much nutrition from that?
It depends. On Sericea lespedeza, it depends what time of year you graze it. If it's really vegetative, where they can get out and get a good bite of it before it gets real tall and woody, that's pretty good feed. If you let it get real tall, it's like feeding them a cedar tree. They're not going to get any good out of it.
So so the next question is like, have you ever thought about baling it? Well, one, we don't bale.
I wouldn't bale Sericea, no way, no how. I don't want to spread that stuff. One plant of Sericea lespedeza has 30,000 seeds on it. So you start baling it and rolling out here on your pasture, it's going to go everywhere. You don't want that.
No.
Yeah.
But Isaac was playing with it this summer.
He was. He did some good work with it too. He put the mob of cattle on it and beat it up, and he literally killed a bunch of it.
Well, we're hoping we'll find out.
Well, they were gone. The plants were gone.
Yeah, we'll see what happens this spring. But would chickens eat them?
No. Well, they might. But it's pretty woody stuff.
Sheep?
Yeah. Oh, sheep will eat it.
They like it, don't they?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. We need to wrap it up.
Yeah, it's getting cold here, but it's as you
Y'all
guys
can come on.
Yeah, but as you can see, before we sign out, we have a beautiful, glorious sunset happening behind us.
Yes.
And
yes.
I hope you've had a good day.
Yep. Thank you all. Please hit the subscribe button on the way out, and we'll see you next time.